Thanks for joining me. I'm AJ of EverythingAJ's, and I have a new project today and I'd love to share with you. So what I'm working on is actually basically where you would put a plant in here. It's a vial that you could fill with water, and then I've done my beading design at the top and hung a charm off of it that from the middle you can kind of have a little bit of extra character, and the plant would just hang down. So like this. When you do propagation and you put it in water, basically water propagating is kind of what you would essentially be doing with this tube here. So you could put a single stem of a succulent in it. You could do some kind of a greenery plant that's going to just hang downward versus being a vertical plant. But basically you put the water in and all of the roots would be kind of growing in the vial, and then you could switch it out and plant it up, or just keep cleaning it down and trimming it down to keep it to where it would be sized appropriately for the vial. But this is what I'm working on, and I wanted to show you exactly how I've made it. Okay, so I'm going to reposition the camera. I will show you the steps of what I've done and what's completed, and then I will make one for us to do together. So here's what I've got. This is the piece that I've already completed, and this is on a charm, so it can come off. Basically, if you didn't want to do this piece here, you could take it right off and you don't have it there at all, and then you would just have that hanging down. Maybe you just do 2 single charms, none at all, whatever. I also have this one here where it's 2 birds on a stick. So I think my next design, I'm going to do the 2 birds on a stick, and this one I'll do with the flowers. I think it's pretty. It gives it a little extra character. I'm going to make 2 more designs here. I have the individual pieces that I use all the time. So for example, I typically use these fluted beads that are a little bit more frosted and a larger size, but I have a few of these clear, small fluted beads. They're just a skosh smaller than the off-white one. So I used that against the glass, and you almost can't even see it there, and I really like that look. And so for example, I'll show a close-up video of it too, but it just sits flat on this glass right here on both sides, and the way that I've tied it is perfect for it to just stay put. I've got 2 knots, 1 knot here to connect it, 1 knot here. It's 2 different fishing line pieces put together into the one. Because they'll shrink down onto each other. So it's a surgeon's knot. I've still used the same knot process, and when I tie that onto the opposite piece of fishing line, it gives it that tension to hold on to the glass vial. I center it to the middle of it, and then I can hang my design. All right, simple as that. I need to get a couple more pieces from here real quick. So these 2 pieces are going to be for 1 vial, and these 2 pieces are going to be for 1 vial, just like what I did here. I made them match. I think it's going to be fairly quick, but I'll probably speed up the video just a little bit because picking out the beads can take a little bit of time. Okay, so I'm going to clear off the stuff that I don't need and then start working on what I do. have these labels that I'm going to use as a sticker to hold the line down while I tie one line onto the other. Just gives me an assistant hand basically, because holding two fishing lines and tying one onto the other is nearly impossible unless you pin it down somehow, in my opinion. Anyway, so I'm just going to pull this end down for right now. I'm going to cut this and then cut that. Okay, so I have two pieces of fishing line, and I know fishing line is hard to see, but it's part of the process, so I just wanted to show it to you. All right, so I have one line that's completely stuck down by the two stickers that I have here, and I'm just going to start to do my knot process onto that line. And this is a really easy thing to do. So now I take my finger and pull as tight as I can, because I really want that to stay snug. Okay, so I've got that line tied right there, and for an example, you can see that I can slide that line up and down this string. So my next step is I'm going to take this string here and put it down and then tie this onto this string. But first I want to shorten up this end here. Make sure you cut the right piece. And then I need to burn down this just ever so slightly. And then I take the back of the lighter and just hold it on that knot for a second to smush it together until it cools, and you're good to go. And I can still slide that piece up and down. Okay, now I'm going to undo this one. Okay, so the one that was tied up first is coming off, and I'm now tying the one that I just did up. Okay, so now I take the line that I have here. This is that one line. This is the other line. I'm going to take this line and tie it to this piece here. See the knot right there? I want to connect this so that that tension is going to come together, and it's going to connect to that vial and hold on to it, keep it from falling. It's confusing a little bit, so just take your time. Okay, do my second knot. And the second knot, I always make sure and go around at least 3 to 4 times. When you're doing the fishing knot process, I believe they go around like 8 times or so. So it's up to you how many you think you need to do. Okay, now take my thumb again, pull down on that knot, pull this line, pull, get it as tight as you can. You want it as tight as you can so that you can't really see it on the glass vial. All right, now I've got my 2 lines that are loose, and I'm just going to shorten up this real quick. Make sure it stays put. Okay. That's it. All right, now I'll take the glass vial, put it in the middle here, and just start squeezing down, pulling each side till I get it even on the glass. And at this point you can undo the sticky tape. Okay. Put this up here. Bring this tray back down. Okay. I don't need the scissors for a minute, so I'll just set those aside. And this I want to work on centering real quick. There we go. Okay. So now with that fluted bead, that's what I would put on first. I would tie another knot and then continue beading. For right now, what I'm going to do is finish up my patterns and get those two ready to be put on, or at least one, and then I'll show you how I'm doing this process. Here we go. Guys, I have gotten a pattern done and I want to just get this beaded up and show you how it is that I completed it to make it look like this. Okay, so first step, I'm going to take that clear fluted bead and I'm going to put that to where the open flute side is towards the glass, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to take it and tie a knot, because I want this to stay snug against the glass. If I do not tie that knot, it'll force itself off. It's just stubborn like that. If you can't keep your knot close to this here, you can use a tool and just connect it there and keep it as close to the bead as possible, and slowly pull the knot closer and closer and closer while still being connected to the tool. And then once you're done, you can pull it off and snug it up right to it. It's still loose on this end until you tie the other side. So don't worry if it comes a little loose at first, because that's going to happen on your first tie knot. For the tension to balance itself out, you have to have both ends of it actually tied. Okay, another way to do it is take your finger, put your finger on top of that, and do not remove your finger until you get really, really close. And try to hold it still. This is pretty wobbly, but nonetheless, you pull it as tight as you can while not releasing your thumb or finger, whatever works best, and then pull down and finish off the knot. This one, obviously, we're not going to be cutting it. We're going to be continuing our bead design going up. Now I'll do the other side. Now before you get the second one too tight down, just double check that you still have it even on both sides. You don't want it to be off center, because then it might tip to one side or the other after you put the plant in. Use the tool so you can see what I'm doing here, because when I use my fingers, you definitely can't tell. Okay, there's my second one. I'm going to get a second knot on that. Now this is important. You want to keep this now as tight as possible, just because you don't want that flute bead to tip up. So take this line, make sure you get underneath that first knot when you pull through, and then leave your finger there. If you've got a good grab on it, try to do the rest of your looping with your one hand, which, trust me, you're going to see it's a little bit tricky, but just use your thumb, push it through. Use your thumb, Okay, and then pull it in as tight as possible. Pressure on that whole thing. There we go. Okay. And there we go. Perfect. All right. Oh, it's a little loose. Oh, that's fine. I think I just need to snug this knot up a little bit more, but they're on there. There we go. Yeah, you can see how that one's a little loose, so it's being stubborn for me. I just struggled at getting it close enough. So what I'm actually going to do is try and get one more knot, and still, again, you want to stay underneath that original knot in order to build up the bottom to tighten up the bead. If you're just tying on top of the line, it's not going to do any good. So I know you can't see this, you guys, but I'm trying to explain what I'm dealing with at the moment. Okay, so the knot is clearly on top, and I'm tying this line at the bottom end of that knot closest to the bead. And look, it tightened it up just fine now. Okay, all right, so now I'll continue beading the rest of this, and we'll see what it looks like when we're done. To take my clamshell bead, and the clamshell bead, I use the same pieces as I do with the suncatcher, so the same loop ring bead and the same top piece, which is the clamshell, and then the same flute piece for the bottom. This one just happens to have the clear flute instead of the frosted flute. The clear one is a little bit smaller. I wanted it to be hidden on the glass, so I think it ended up looking pretty good. So I'm going to put this on, one on each line, do my knot process yet again, and then connect them with a larger split ring. And for the clamshell bead, I think that it's best if you do have the tool, because the tool really helps it. If you get on the wrong side of that bead, this will help you pull it back over without it being too late. And it also keeps it really close in there. Pull down the tension with the tool itself and you're right on top of that. So we do 2 knots so that it doesn't slide through the hole in the clamshell bead or any of the other beads. Fishing line's pretty thin, so you do have to do a couple knots. So loop it around your tool, and then once you pull, you can't be in the wrong spot. You can be on the wrong side of these, but you can't be in the wrong spot as far as where you need that knot to be. So it's a really easy way to do it. Okay, use your finger to push down that knot the rest of the way, and voila. What I'm going to do is do both of them, and then I'll cut them both off. And watch it when you're using the flame, it's invisible. You really can't see anything but the plastic melting down. So don't let it get too close without giving it a blow, because you need to blow that flame all the way out. There we go. Sometimes when you close the thing on the knot, it does stick out a little bit of that piece. So I just burn it down a little bit more and get it as close to there as possible so you can't see it. Oh, I gotta curl this down. Okay, grab another split ring here. Just being stubborn. There we go. There we go. Got 2 of them done. Alright, that's about it though. I've got 2 of them done. I think the process I came up with is so similar to what I've already been making with the sun catchers. So if you have any questions or need further detail, you can leave the questions below in the comments. You can also look at some other videos that I've made based on the sun catchers. I do break down my tie knot process and my beading process, as well as some more of those component pieces. Yeah. So again, thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.